Tom Miller wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the maintenance schedule on his tablet. Another quiet day at Deep Space Repair Station Delta, or so he thought. The massive structure floated silently in space, its repair bays mostly empty except for routine maintenance on a few human cargo ships. The calm morning changed when every alarm in the station started blaring at once. Chief Engineer Miller to Command Center, immediately. The voice over the intercom carried an urgency he hadn't heard in months. Tom grabbed his toolkit and ran through the corridors, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. When he reached the command center, the sight through the main viewport made him stop in his tracks. A massive warship, easily 5 times the size of their largest repair bay, was limping toward the station. Its hull glowed an angry red from what looked like drive system failure. "Sir," said Jack, his young apprentice, "that's a Stellar Coalition battlecruiser. They've never come to a human repair station before." The ship's design was unlike anything Tom had seen in his 20 years of service. Its sleek purple-black hull was covered in technology that made human ships look like ancient sailing vessels in comparison. The communication officer's console lit up. "They're hailing us." A holographic face appeared above the command table. The alien commander had gray-scaled skin and eyes that seemed to glow from within. "This is Commander Rex of the Stellar Coalition warship Eternal Dawn. We request immediate emergency docking. Our main drive system has suffered catastrophic failure." Tom stepped forward. "Commander, I'm Chief Engineer Miller. Our largest bay can only accommodate 1/5 of your vessel's mass." "We have no choice," Rex replied, his voice tense. "3 other repair stations turned us away. Our backup systems are failing. We have less than 2 hours before total drive collapse." Tom's mind raced. The alien ship's technology was far beyond human understanding, but he'd never back down from a challenge. "Commander, if you can separate your ship into sections, we might be able to help. But I need to be honest, we've never worked on a vessel of your level before." The alien commander's glowing eyes fixed on Tom. "We were told humans were resourceful. We've separated the drive section. Sending technical data now." Streams of information filled the surrounding screens. Tom's eyes widened as he studied the schematics. The alien drive system was incredible, and incredibly broken. Multiple fractures in the quantum containment field threatened to tear the whole thing apart. "Jack, prep Bay 3. Commander Rex, bring your drive section in. We'll do our best, but no promises." As the massive drive section was carefully maneuvered into the repair bay, Tom assembled his best team. The alien engineering crew that came aboard looked at the human repair equipment with obvious disdain. "These tools are primitive," one of them said, holding up a plasma torch. Tom smiled. "Sometimes primitive is exactly what you need. Show me the worst damage point." The alien engineers led him to a massive crack in the quantum containment housing. Their advanced repair tools had failed to even make a dent in fixing it. Tom studied the break, running his hands along the exotic metal. "Your tools can't fix this because they're too precise," he said, surprising the aliens. "The molecular structure has become unstable. Trying to make a perfect repair is actually making it worse." He turned to Jack. "Get me the old arc welder and some of that experimental hull coating we've been working on." "The arc welder?" Jack asked, shocked. "But that's ancient technology." "Exactly," Tom said with a grin. "Sometimes you need a sledgehammer, not a laser scalpel." Over the next hour, Tom and his team worked in a way that seemed to both fascinate and horrify the alien engineers. They used high-temperature arc welding to basically melt and reshape the exotic metal, then applied the experimental coating that would help stabilize the molecular structure. It wasn't pretty, but it was holding. Commander Rex watched from an observation platform, his expression unreadable. "Your methods are unorthodox." "That's one way to put it," Tom replied, checking the latest sensor readings. "But look at these numbers. The containment field is stabilizing. It's not a permanent fix, but it'll hold until you can reach your main shipyards." The alien commander studied the readings himself, then looked at Tom with new respect. 3 of the most advanced repair stations in the Coalition said this damage was irreparable. Yet you fixed it with technology we would consider obsolete. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other. Tom nodded, already thinking about the next steps. This is just the beginning, Commander. Now let's talk about those secondary systems. 3 days after fixing the main drive of Commander Rex's warship, Tom found himself surrounded by curious alien engineers in Delta Station's main workshop. They watched intently as he demonstrated human repair techniques, though their expressions showed a mix of interest and disbelief. This is what we call jerry-rigging, Tom explained, holding up a damaged power converter. Sometimes you don't have the exact part you need, so you have to get creative. Creative? One of the alien engineers named Kroll snorted. That sounds dangerous and unreliable. Tom smiled as he pulled open his personal toolkit. Let me tell you a story. Back on Earth, about 100 years ago, there was this car mechanic in a small town. One day, an expensive sports car broke down miles from anywhere. The fancy diagnostic computer was useless, but this mechanic fixed it with just a rubber band and paperclip. The aliens exchanged confused looks. Tom continued working as he spoke, his hands moving with practiced ease. The owner of the car couldn't believe it. He said, "How did you know this would work?" The mechanic just smiled and said, "When you've fixed enough broken things, you learn that sometimes the simplest solution is the best one." Jack, who was assisting Tom, brought over a box of spare parts. Tom picked through them, selecting what looked like random pieces of metal and wire. The alien engineers watched with growing concern as he began combining parts that were never meant to go together. "This is not protocol," Kroll protested. "There are established procedures for repair work." "Procedures are great when you have all the right tools and parts," Tom replied, not looking up from his work. "But what happens when you don't? What happens when you're stranded in deep space with a broken life support system and the nearest supply ship is weeks away?" The room fell silent. Every spacefarer knew that scenario. It was the stuff of nightmares. Tom held up the power converter, now modified with an array of seemingly mismatched parts. "Watch this." He connected it to a testing unit. The readings came back perfect, even better than the original specifications. "Impossible," Kroll whispered, moving closer to inspect the readings. "These parts should not work together." "But they do," Tom said, "because sometimes 2 wrong parts can make a right one. Humans learned this through centuries of making do with what we had. We didn't have advanced technology for most of our history, so we had to get creative." Commander Rex, who had been quietly observing from the doorway, stepped forward. "I've been studying your Earth history. Your people survived countless disasters and setbacks, yet you kept moving forward. Perhaps this jerry-rigging is not just about repairs. It's about survival." Tom nodded. "Exactly. Every human spacer carries this knowledge in their bones. We know that fancy tools can break, computers can fail, but human ingenuity, that's always reliable." As if to prove his point, the station's alert system suddenly blared to life. "Emergency in Dock 5. Coolant system failure in the merchant vessel Star Trader." "Perfect timing for a demonstration," Tom said, grabbing his toolkit. "Want to see human ingenuity in action? Follow me." The alien engineers hurried after Tom and Jack as they raced to Dock 5. They found the merchant ship venting toxic coolant, its crew evacuated. The ship's captain, a species none of them had seen before, was panicking. "The primary and backup systems are both dead," the captain explained. "Without coolant, the cargo will spoil within hours." The alien engineers started discussing complex repair procedures, but Tom was already moving. He grabbed a water pipe, some cleaning solution from a nearby maintenance cart, and what looked like parts from an old coffee maker. "Jack, remember that trick we used during the asteroid mining incident?" Tom called out. "The one with the makeshift heat exchanger." "But sir, That was just a temporary fix. Sometimes temporary is all you need, Tom replied, already cutting into the pipe. Commander Rex, would your engineers like to help? Best way to learn is by doing. The alien engineers looked at their commander, who nodded. As they worked together, following Tom's seemingly crazy but effective instructions, something changed in their expressions. They began to understand that there was more than one way to solve a problem. Within an hour, the Star Trader's cooling system was running again, using a bizarre but functional combination of parts that no engineering manual would ever suggest. The alien engineers were quiet, processing what they had just seen and done. I think I understand now, Kroll finally said. Your strength isn't in your technology. It's in knowing how to work without it. Word spread fast in space. 2 weeks after fixing Commander Rex's warship, Deep Space Repair Station Delta was busier than ever before. Ships of all sizes and designs filled the repair bays, their crews all asking for the human fix. Tom stood in the command center, looking at the growing line of vessels waiting their turn. We're going to need more hands, he told Dr. Anna Martinez, the station's technical director. Already ahead of you, Anna replied, showing him her tablet. 5 more engineering teams are being sent from Earth. But Tom, some of these ships, their technology is way beyond our understanding. Maybe that's our advantage, Tom said. We're not trapped by knowing how these things are supposed to work. The station shook slightly as a massive ship docked in Bay 2. Its hull was covered in what looked like glowing crystals, and its shape seemed to bend space itself. That's a royal transport from the Crystal Kingdoms, Jack said, rushing into the command center. They're saying their life support is failing, and they have VIPs aboard. Tom grabbed his toolkit. Of course they do. When does anything ever come easy? When they reached Bay 2, they found a group of tall, crystalline beings waiting for them. Their bodies sparkled with inner light, and they wore what looked like crowns made of living crystal. This is unacceptable, one of them declared, their voice ringing like wind chimes. We demand immediate attention. Do you know who we carry aboard? With all due respect, Tom replied calmly, in this repair station, a broken ship is a broken ship. We'll fix you as fast as we can, but we won't jump the line unless it's a true emergency. The crystalline being grew brighter with what seemed like anger. Our passenger is the 3rd princess of the eternal crystal. This is a diplomatic. An alarm cut through the argument. Red lights flashed across all screens. Multiple system failures in Bay 4, Jack shouted, checking his tablet. The merchant ship we fixed yesterday. Something's wrong. Tom was already running. Keep an eye on the royal ship, he called back to his team. I'll handle this. He reached Bay 4 to find chaos. The merchant ship's engines were overloading, sending waves of dangerous radiation through the bay. The fix they'd made yesterday had worked perfectly, which meant something else had gone wrong. Everyone out of the bay, Tom ordered, sealing his suit. He climbed into the ship through the maintenance hatch, following the radiation readings to their source. What he found made his blood run cold. Someone or something had deliberately sabotaged the engine. The elegant repair work his team had done was now a twisted mess. Tom's radio crackled. Sir, Jack's voice came through. The Crystal Kingdom delegates are demanding to speak with station authority. They're threatening to file a formal complaint with Earth government. Tell them to wait, Tom growled, his hands already moving to contain the radiation leak. We've got bigger problems. I think someone's trying to make us look bad. He worked quickly, using his suit's limited protection time to jury-rig a containment field. It wasn't pretty, but it would hold. As he finished, his radiation counter was beeping warnings. He'd cut it close. Back in the main station, Tom found the crystalline delegates still waiting, their glow now dimmed with what might have been concern. Your ship, Tom said, still catching his breath, has the same type of quantum matrix we just fixed. If we hadn't caught this sabotage attempt, your ship might have been next. The crystal being's light flickered rapidly, their version of surprised whispers. The one with the largest crown stepped forward. Perhaps, they chimed, we were hasty in our judgment. You say someone is targeting ships. Tom nodded grimly. And they know enough about advanced technology to make it look like human repairs are failing. We're going to need help to catch them. The crystal being's light pulsed thoughtfully. Then it seems we face a common threat. The third princess will be interested to hear of this. Perhaps we can assist each other. Tom looked around at his busy repair station, at the mix of human and alien crews working together, at the ships waiting patiently in line despite their advanced technology. That's what we humans do best, he said. We find ways to work together, especially when things get tough. As if to emphasize his point, another alarm started blaring. But this time, when Tom rushed to answer it, he had new allies at his side. The investigation into the sabotage was just beginning when the biggest challenge of Tom's career appeared at Deep Space Repair Station Delta. It came in the form of a massive refugee ship, its hull scared and systems barely functioning. Emergency transmission, the comm officer announced. They're carrying over 2,000 civilians from a planet hit by solar flares. Life support is critical. Tom watched the enormous vessel limp toward the station. It was an old ship, clearly not designed for the number of people it now carried. Its power readings were all over the place. How bad is it? Anna asked, standing beside him at the viewport. Before Tom could answer, multiple explosions rippled across the refugee ship's hull. Emergency alerts blared throughout the station. All hands to emergency stations, Tom shouted. Get every engineer we have ready. Jack, contact our alien colleagues. We're going to need everyone on this. The refugee ship was guided into the largest repair bay, emergency force fields barely containing its leaking radiation. When the airlock opened, hundreds of scared faces looked out. People of different alien species crowded together, many injured or sick. Commander Rex, who had stayed to help investigate the sabotage, stepped forward. By the Coalition's standards, this ship is beyond saving. The structural damage is too severe. Good thing we don't follow Coalition standards, Tom replied, already moving toward the ship. Jack, get me readings on those hull breaches. Anna, coordinate with medical for the evacuees we can move. Everyone else, we've got work to do. Inside the ship, the damage was even worse than it looked from outside. The main power core was minutes from collapse, and the air recyclers were failing. 2,000 lives hung in the balance. The power core is using Crystal Kingdom technology. One of the crystalline engineers said, their light dimming with concern. But it's been modified with, are those human parts. Tom studied the bizarre mix of technologies. Someone had tried to upgrade the old ship with whatever they could find. Under normal circumstances, it shouldn't have worked at all. But that gave him an idea. If they could mix technologies, so can we, he said. Get me Commander Rex's quantum field generators and those spare crystal matrices. Jack, remember that cooling system we jury-rigged last week? We're going to do that, but bigger, much bigger. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Tom's team worked alongside alien engineers from 6 different species, each bringing their own knowledge and technology to the problem. They broke every rule in every repair manual ever written. This is madness, Kroll muttered, watching Tom connect a Crystal Kingdom power relay to a human-made coolant system. The energies are completely incompatible. Incompatible is just another word for hasn't been tried yet, Tom replied, making final adjustments. Everyone ready. Power up in 3, 2, 1. The hybrid system hummed to life. For a moment, everything seemed fine. Then alarms started blaring. Power spike, Jack shouted. The core is going critical. Tom's hands flew over the controls. No, it's not critical. It's equalizing. Look at the readings. They watched as the impossible mix of technologies found a balance. Crystal energy flowed through human coolant pipes, regulated by Coalition quantum fields. The refugee ship's systems stabilized one by one. I don't believe it, Commander Rex said, checking the readings himself. You've created something entirely new. This shouldn't be possible. That's humanity's secret, Tom said, finally allowing himself to breathe. We don't spend much time worrying about what's possible. We're too busy doing what's necessary. As emergency crews helped the refugees to temporary quarters, Tom looked around at his mixed team of human and alien engineers. They were tired, dirty, and amazed at what they'd accomplished together. You know what this means, don't you? Anna said, joining him. If we can combine technologies like this. Tom nodded. Everything changes. But first, we need to fix those hull breaches. And I've got an idea about that too. Anyone here know how to weld Crystal Kingdom matrices onto human steel plates? The crystal engineer's light brightened. Impossible. But perhaps you can show us how. That's what we're here for, Tom said with a smile. Now let's get to work. We've got 2,000 people counting on us to do the impossible again. News of the refugee ship rescue spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. 1 week later, Deep Space Repair Station Delta's main conference room was packed with engineers from 20 different species. They all watched as Tom drew on a simple whiteboard, a sight that still made some aliens chuckle. What we did with the refugee ship wasn't just a desperate fix, Tom explained, drawing lines between different technologies. We accidentally created something new, something better. He stepped back, revealing a diagram that showed how human, Crystal Kingdom, and coalition technologies could work together. It wasn't elegant, but it made sense in a uniquely human way. We call it adaptive integration, Tom continued. Instead of forcing technologies to comply with each other, we let them find their own balance, like putting 3 arguing people in a room and letting them work it out. But the power requirements must be enormous, one alien engineer argued. The energy patterns are completely random. Jack stepped forward, holding up a small device. Actually, that's the best part. Watch this. He activated the device, a combination of crystal power cells, human circuitry, and coalition quantum fields. It hummed quietly, glowing with a strange but stable light. 30% more efficient than any single system, Jack said proudly. And it can repair itself using materials from any of the 3 technologies. We tested it yesterday on a damaged shuttle engine. The room burst into excited discussion. Commander Rex moved to stand beside Tom. You realize what you've done? The commander asked quietly. You've changed everything we thought we knew about technological advancement. Tom shrugged. We just did what humans always do. We took what we had and made it work. The conference room's door slid open, and Dr. Anna Martinez rushed in. Tom, you need to see this. She projected a hologram in the center of the room. It showed ships, dozens of them, approaching the station. Word's getting out, she said. They're all requesting to learn about the new hybrid technology, and look who's leading them. At the front of the fleet was a massive ship bearing the insignia of the Galactic Engineering Guild, the most prestigious engineering organization in known space. They said our methods were primitive, Kroll said, his tone amused. Now they come to learn from us. Tom looked at the growing fleet of ships, then at the mixed group of engineers in the room. Then let's teach them. But first, we need to set up proper training facilities. Jack, remember that old cargo bay we've been using for storage? The one with all the spare parts. Already thinking about it, sir. We could convert it into a teaching space. Good. Commander Rex, could your people help us set up some coalition training systems? And we'll need Crystal Kingdom power supplies for the practical exercises. The various alien engineers nodded eagerly. What had started as desperation during the refugee crisis had turned into something much bigger. We'll need to document everything, Anna said, already making notes. Create proper training manuals, safety protocols. But not too proper, Tom interrupted with a smile. We need to keep the human touch. Sometimes the best solutions come from breaking the rules a little. As if to prove his point, an alarm sounded, but not an emergency alarm. This was different. New ship requesting emergency docking. The station's AI announced. Experimental vessel reporting drive system failure. Tom looked at the gathered engineers. Who wants to see adaptive integration in action? This is the best way to learn. Hands-on. Real problems, real solutions. The aliens looked at each other, then began gathering their tools. Some pulled out advanced diagnostic equipment. Others grabbed simple wrenches and wire cutters. Remember, Tom said as they headed for the repair bay, there's no wrong tool if it gets the job done. Now let's go show the galaxy what humans and aliens can do together. As they walked, he heard the aliens discussing eagerly among themselves, sharing ideas that mixed their advanced science with simple human practicality. Something new was starting here, something that would change space repair forever. Jack, Tom called out, grab my old toolkit. Something tells me we're going to need both high-tech and duct tape for this one. 3 months after the refugee ship incident, Deep Space Repair Station Delta looked very different. New docking arms stretched out into space, and the station had nearly doubled in size. But the biggest changes were inside. Tom walked through the newly opened training hub, watching dozens of aliens and humans working together at repair stations. The sound of tools mixing with different languages filled the air. Chief Engineer Miller, a voice called out. Tom turned to see a young Crystal Kingdom engineer hurrying toward him, their light pulsing with excitement. We just successfully completed the first hybrid crystal human power core. It's small, but it works perfectly. Good work, Tom said, following them to their workstation. The device was rough-looking by Crystal Kingdom standards, but its energy readings were impressive. See, sometimes ugly is better than pretty. The Crystal Engineering Academy called it innovative chaos when they saw our designs, the young engineer said proudly. They want to start a whole new department studying human repair methods. Before Tom could respond, Jack's voice came over the intercom. Tom, the Stellar Coalition representatives are here for the inspection. Tom straightened his uniform, still stained with grease despite Anna's best efforts to keep him presentable. Time to face the music, he muttered. In the main conference room, a group of high-ranking coalition officials waited. Commander Rex stood with them, looking more relaxed than Tom had ever seen him. Chief Engineer Miller, one of the officials said, we have reviewed your station's performance over the past 3 months. The results are surprising. Tom waited patiently. He knew the numbers spoke for themselves. Your success rate on supposedly irreparable systems is 94%. The official continued. Your hybrid technology program has produced innovations that our best scientists hadn't considered. And your training methods, while unorthodox, are producing excellent results. We just do what works, Tom said simply. That's exactly why we're here, another official spoke up. The coalition wants to establish similar programs at other repair stations. We need human engineers to help lead them. Tom blinked in surprise. You want humans to teach coalition engineers? Not just coalition, Commander Rex said with a smile. The Crystal Kingdoms have made the same request. Even the Galactic Engineering Guild is interested. As if to emphasize the point, a group of students passed by the conference room window. A human mechanic was showing a coalition engineer and a crystal being how to repair a quantum drive using nothing but basic tools. Your methods shouldn't work, the first official admitted. They break every rule of advanced engineering. But they do work, and more importantly, they work when nothing else will. The galaxy needs that kind of thinking. Tom thought about how far they'd come. From being seen as primitive to becoming teachers of the most advanced civilizations in space, all because humans never forgot the basics of fixing things. We'd be happy to help, he said, but on one condition. The officials looked at him curiously. We keep teaching things our way. No fancy manuals, no rigid procedures. Students learn by doing, by making mistakes, by figuring things out hands-on. That's the human way. Commander Rex laughed. Would we expect anything else from you? Just then, Anna burst into the room. Sorry to interrupt, but you all need to see this. They followed her to the command center. The main screen showed an incoming ship unlike anything they'd seen before. Its design seemed to defy physics itself. "It's from the Rim Worlds," Anna explained. "They say they heard about our hybrid technology program. They want to share their repair methods too." Tom looked at the strange ship, then at the officials. Well, ready to learn something new. The coalition officials exchanged glances, then nodded. One of them even smiled. "Perhaps," the lead official said, "that is why your station has succeeded where others failed. You never stop learning, even when you're teaching." "That's humanity's real secret," Tom replied. "We know we're not the best at everything, but we're pretty good at bringing out the best in everyone." Outside the window, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive at Delta Station, each bringing new challenges and opportunities. The age of human repair expertise had only just begun. 1 year had passed since the first alien warship limped into Deep Space Repair Station Delta. Tom stood at the main viewport, watching the constant flow of traffic around the station. Ships of all sizes and designs moved smoothly through the organized chaos, some coming for repairs, others arriving with eager engineering students. "Hard to believe it all started with a broken drive system," Jack said, joining him at the window. He wasn't a young apprentice anymore. Now he led his own team of human and alien engineers. "Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest problems," Tom replied, checking his tablet. "Speaking of which, how's the new batch of students doing?" Jack grinned. "You should see them. We got Coalition quantum engineers learning human welding techniques, Crystal Kingdom experts studying Earth-style improvisation, and human mechanics figuring out alien technology. Yesterday, they built a working engine using parts from 5 different species ships." The station had grown into something neither of them could have imagined. The original repair bays were now surrounded by training facilities, research labs, and innovation centers. But Tom had made sure they kept the old workshop where it all started, complete with his basic toolkit hanging on the wall. "Chief Engineer Miller to Conference Room 1, the station's AI announced. "The graduation ceremony is about to begin." Tom straightened his uniform, still stained with grease, as always, and headed to the conference room. Inside, he found a gathering that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Coalition officials stood next to Crystal Kingdom royalty. Representatives from the Rim Worlds chatted with human mechanics. In the center of the room, a group of students from 20 different species waited nervously, each wearing the simple work uniform that had become Delta Station's trademark. "Welcome to the first graduation of the Interstellar Engineering Exchange Program," Tom began, looking at the faces before him. "When we started this program, people said it wouldn't work. They said different species technologies couldn't mix. They said advanced civilizations wouldn't learn from humans." He picked up a simple wrench from a nearby table. "But they forgot something important. They forgot that fixing things isn't about having the best technology. It's about understanding how things work, and more importantly, being willing to try new ways when the old ways fail." The students nodded. They'd learned this lesson well over their months at the station. "Each of you came here thinking you knew everything about engineering," Tom continued. "Now you're leaving knowing that there's always more to learn. That's not a weakness. It's our greatest strength." Commander Rex, now the official coalition liaison to Delta Station, stepped forward. "Thanks to this program, repair stations across the galaxy are adopting human methods. Emergency response times are down 60%. Success rates on impossible repairs have doubled. But most importantly, we're all learning from each other." The Crystal Kingdom princess, the same one whose ship they'd helped a year ago, raised her crystalline hand. "The old boundaries between species technologies are disappearing. We are creating something new together." Tom nodded. "And that's your real graduation test. Not the exams you've taken or the repairs you've made, but the understanding that no one species has all the answers. Sometimes the best solution comes from mixing the most advanced technology with the simplest tools." He looked out at his students, coalition quantum engineers who could now fix engines with basic wrenches, Crystal Kingdom experts who understood the value of ugly but working repairs, human mechanics who could confidently work with technology far beyond Earth's level. "You're not just engineers anymore," Tom said proudly. "You're problem solvers, innovation makers, bridge builders between different worlds and ways of thinking." The ceremony ended with each student receiving the unique toolkit, a mix of advanced alien devices and basic human tools. As they filed out, Tom heard them already planning future projects, mixing ideas and technologies with the easy confidence of true innovators. Later, back in his old workshop, Tom picked up his battered toolkit. Inside, next to his trusty wrench, sat a Crystal Kingdom power scanner and a Coalition quantum probe. "Need any help with that repair?" Jack asked from the doorway. Tom smiled. "Grab your toolkit. Let's show the new kids how it's done." Outside, ships continued to arrive at Delta Station, each bringing new challenges and opportunities. But now they found more than just repairs. They found a place where the galaxy's greatest technologies met humanity's endless ingenuity, creating solutions that no one species could have achieved alone.